Hello and welcome to the Infertility Podcast. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Candace. Grab a biscuit because we've got the tea on all things infertility. Hey guys, welcome to episode 6.
Hello. Your voice sounds a little raspy.
Yeah, well, we're back. Thank you for being understanding in our absence. I was recovering from surgery and then I got sick, so I was in bed a lot. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, because you don't wait by your computer for our episodes to be released.
There is literally no one who does not wait by their computer for this.
I know, you're right.
It's the pinnacle of their lives.
I know. It's like, what's Hump Day? It's release day,
It's
right?
Hump and
Podcast
release
day.
in the same. That sounds bad.
So anyways, special thank you to Daniel for giving me his lurgy. Thanks a lot.
I'm sorry. I think I was patient zero for the entire
Yeah.
Charleston area.
Y'all heard how ill Daniel was on the last episode. So we flew to New York shortly after we recorded that episode. And then when we got there, it was so cold. Like our Charleston bones couldn't handle it.
Like I think
Couldn't hang.
at the worst point, wasn't it like -10 with wind chill or something?
It was so cold.
I've never felt anything like it.
Yeah, it was like Antarctica.
The deep South Pole, it was like.
The deep South Pole. But Daniel kind of relapsed a little bit while we were there. You were feeling a lot better, and then the day of our pre-op appointment, we were in Manhattan all day.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so cold. I think we were we were trying to find little patches of sun.
We were, reflections off of the building, like the windows.
Yeah, and it was like just a little bit of relief from the cold.
It was pretty cool though. We had
fun.
fun. I just don't think we've ever been that cold, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure how human beings function.
I know when we got off the bus from the ferry, this whole trip was like planes, trains, and automobiles. It really was. We were on the subway to the bus station.
Ferries.
The bus station to this other place. We had to get a lift. It was just ridiculous. But yeah, we were in Manhattan and we went to Times Square.
That was awesome, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Let's talk about how much of a mind blower, like seeing something like Times Square in person. I've seen it before, but you haven't actually been to Times Square before, right?
I don't remember if we went when I was a kid. When I was a kid, we went to visit my grandparents. They live in Connecticut. And we went into New York City one day. And I do remember we did the World Trade Center. But I don't remember what else we did. I think we did a lot of walking around. Oh, we did go to the Empire State Building. I remember that.
Also incredible.
But I don't think we went to Times Square. So I think that was my first time.
It's like tourist central, but there's something overwhelming, with those TV screens, and then
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But
amazing.
then the weather changed.
Just changed instantly.
It was so crazy. The polar vortex, it was all over the news. We were in Times Square when it hit. We started seeing snow flurries.
Well, we felt them first, didn't we?
I thought, okay, so the first time I saw a snow flurry, I thought someone had flicked their ash in my face. And I was like, but then it was cold.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, was that snow?
Yeah.
And then more came and more came. And then the temperature just dropped like 10 degrees in the matter of 10 minutes. And more snow came, and it was like coming at a rapid speed.
And it was coming in at you, wasn't it?
And it was coming in like knives. It was like stabbing you as it came down. So when the weather dropped, it was like that movie 2012.
I think it's called 2012.
2012?
I know,
Tomato.
I feel like that may be... I've never really thought about it.
Yeah, but that movie, how it wasn't that extreme, of course, but...
What a dumb movie,
just
by
the
way.
fact... I know.
Do you remember we went to see that at the cinema when we'd not long started dating?
Yeah, but it was just crazy. The weather was crazy.
Yeah,
but
it was.
The next day, I had my surgery, and Daniel was in the hospital all day, just sitting around waiting for me. So he was, after being in the cold all day and then sitting in a hospital all day, I think it was a bit too much for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, do you know what actually got me? The thing that turned me back into being a sick zombie was when I called for the lift to come and pick us up,
Yeah.
and he parked at the back of the hospital. But because he was within the vicinity, it looked like to
Oh,
lift that he was there and ready to pick us up. So I had to
that's
run
right.
outside
Because I sat there in the wheelchair.
for like 15
Right.
minutes.
That's right. Because I sat there in the wheelchair for
Yeah.
a while.
And I know we're jumping ahead here a little bit, but I think
Yeah.
that's what turned me sick, was going outside in my hoodie with the freezing cold.
Oh my gosh, it was so cold.
Miserable. And then he drove off. He drove off just as I got there, and I had to go and order another
Yeah,
lift.
you had to get a different
Anyway,
one.
I don't want to rant about
I
that.
remember sitting there like for what it felt like ages.
Well, you were so close to being sick again.
I was. I know. I got really sick and I puked.
Anyway, we're going the wrong way with this.
No,
We've
are.
gone right to the end. Goodbye.
No, but anyways, all that to say, and I'll provide more details about my surgery and what happened, and I want to do a YouTube video. I actually have a follow-up appointment with the surgeon in a couple of weeks on the phone. So as soon as I speak with him and get some more answers, I think I was very out of it when he talked to me in recovery, so I don't remember anything, and of course,
Yeah.
you don't remember
I was just so
anything.
glad to hear that you're okay.
Yeah.
You know, the surgery took a little longer than we expected.
Did it? See, I don't remember how. I think it was supposed to take 2 hours.
2 hours. I think I didn't hear anything for closer to 3, it felt like.
Yeah.
And then
I don't know.
when I finally did see you, you're in the recovery where, you know, they've got the heater blowing up your
Oh
bed.
my gosh.
Yeah, so it's like
I remember that. It was amazing. That's like one of the only things I remember from recovery. I do remember that thing blowing up my hospital
bed
sheets.
Yeah.
There was like a heater blowing. Oh my gosh, that was amazing.
It was warm in there. It was
that
really
was
warm in there.
so
But
nice.
you were so out of it. Like, I came in and I was like, hey, how you doing?
I just remember you coming in and going, hey, darling, it was endometriosis.
Yeah.
And then I was like, it was? And
Yeah.
you were like, yeah. And I was like...
Yeah, no, you were like, can I get you anything? And you were like, I need a wee. So I went and told the nurse, I was like, oh, she needs a wee. And he was like, oh, I'll get her a bedpan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They made me pee in the bed.
Yeah.
In a bedpan.
There you go.
It's all coming back to me now.
Yeah.
I do remember that. That felt like a dream. That's funny.
Was it a dream because I was like an angel?
No.
Or the peeing part?
The peeing in the bed.
It's just a nightmare.
Oh my gosh, that's so weird. I didn't think of that until just
Yeah.
now. That's funny. But anyways, I'm lacking a lot of information about the surgery really itself and kind of what our next steps will be. So I am anxious to get that phone call done, and then I'll be able to
Fill in the blanks.
post a YouTube video about it. And plus, we had a good time in New York.
I think it was really good for our relationship. So for the first 2 days, we really just had to do the pre-op, which was pretty close to Central Park.
Yeah.
And aside from that, we got to go and do some touristy things.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, we haven't had a vacation in, 2 years.
Together. I mean, I went to England in July
Yeah.
for the football.
But I mean, actually, since our honeymoon 8 years ago, we've never been on a vacation together, just by ourselves. So
I mean, we've been to England every year. Does that not count? Is that
no,
not
because we're with family the whole time.
Yeah.
So we never have alone time. And by the way, when we go to England, I barely even see you because you're off with your brother.
So I'm off being a lad, and I, all right, mate?
Yeah, and I'm off with your mum shopping, and
Causing trouble.
so it was nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it was,
I think we did need that.
It wasn't. I think probably my favourite part was the idea that you and me really didn't know a lot about Manhattan. We may have been there, but actually having the opportunity
Yeah.
to just kind of
And
be
we did
dropped
really
there.
good.
Yeah, we
did
did.
good.
We killed
we
it.
just navigated like oh, we need to get off here, and oh, we
Yeah.
need to take this subway. We were regular city folk.
Like we were fully blown Manhattans. Is that what they say?
Yeah, Daniel almost got his wallet jacked,
Did I?
and I had to tell him how it is on the streets.
Did I?
Yeah, that guy was.
Oh, dude, he weren't going to jack my wallet. I'd have dropped him. Left hook to the throat.
This guy says we were looking for something, and we looked like
We were
tourists.
in the subway, yeah.
We definitely looked like tourists.
But he was never going to get my wallet.
Well, you.
Dude, I would never give some stranger my wallet.
I know, but you weren't gonna give him your wallet.
I
But
wasn't
he
gonna
was
give him
like,
my card.
he led us over to the Metro card.
Yeah.
Little kiosk that you buy your Metro card with for the subway. And he goes, oh, here, I'll do it for you. And he starts touching all the buttons. And I said, I think this one's open. And I wanted to go and like lose him.
Yeah.
But he starts like ordering the thing and he's like, hand me your card. And I was like, no. I was like, we got it from here. But anyway,
And then he asked for some change.
can't
He's
pull
like,
the
"You
wool
got
over
any-
my eyes.
Got any spare change?" And I was like, "No, I
Yeah,
barely have any
no.
money."
No. Sir, we do not have spare change. I can assure you that.
That is, every bit of our change is accounted for.
Do you know who we are?
Yeah.
We have holes in our pockets.
And my wife is about to have 4
Yeah.
holes in her.
Exactly, 4 holes. So other than recovering from that virus, and I'm recovering from surgery nicely, so I'm just focusing on getting healthier and our next steps. And I started the supplements that Dr. Braverman specially formulates, so there is just a lot of those. One of the supplements I have to take 3 in the morning, 4 at night. Another one I have to take 2 a day. It's just a lot of stuff, and I've been feeling a little bit
For those of you
blah.
who can't see Candace, she just did this weird shaky thing by her head to
Yeah.
indicate that she was feeling blah.
Yeah, like my head is kind of in a fuzz. Side note, I forgot how much supplements make me feel like crap.
Yeah. If you do it on an empty belly, they're going to make you feel
Well,
like crap.
I'm not that hungry at 7 a.m., so
Yeah.
I eat something light, like a Perfect Bar.
Oh, can we please talk about Perfect Bars for those who don't know?
They're good. They're a fave in
good.
this household.
Goodness, $2 a bar, peanut butter. Get them in your life, people.
Yeah, they're really great. But does that happen to you guys? Do you get sick taking supplements? I think maybe my body needs to acclimate to them. I don't really know. Do you remember that time I almost OD'd on supplements? There was like a couple of weeks, this was years ago when we first started,
Yeah.
like we were thinking about doing IVF, so I was like trying to get really healthy
Yeah.
and taking lots of supplements, and I was taking my prenatal, and then also,
You were doubling up, weren't
yes,
you? Yeah,
I was
remember.
taking too much. Supplements have been a bit of a struggle for me. I've also been struggling with something else.
What is it?
Well, they remulched the whole campus at work.
They remulched it.
Yeah. All the areas that you would put mulch,
Yeah.
they remulched. And
I understand what remulch means.
yeah, but it stinks so bad. It's
What's
so
like manure?
kind of like manure and also like wood
Yeah.
and another thing is they color it, so they dye it, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's just
Is it
a
like
bunch
a
of
red
chemicals. No, that's brown. Still, it just stinks, and it's not nice to walk to work in the morning with a bunch of mulch in the air.
Yeah. I mean, I drive past the paper
Doesn't-
factory, don't I? Every day. So I
Yeah,
have
but
to
it
put up
doesn't
with that.
always stink.
No, it doesn't. You're right.
Here in Charleston, we have a paper mill, and it smells like wet cardboard sometimes.
My younger brother Justin described it as cheap ham. So like
He'd know.
Yeah. So the lowest quality ham that you can buy, and that's what it smells like to me
That's
all the
funny.
time.
Oh gosh, good old Justin.
Good old Justin.
And there's one other thing I kind of need to, and this has been another source of struggle for me, is I love Ariana Grande's music. I can't help it.
Boo.
It really, it's so annoying because she's a total brat.
Yes, she is.
She's a potty mouth.
Is she?
Yeah, she cusses in all her songs, and I'm like, young lady.
Don't all of Hollywood stars cuss? I mean, even Taylor Swift has done the occasional cuss.
Maybe the occasional
Yeah.
one word.
Yeah.
And that was just on her latest record. So
She's doing new ones.
I don't know. But anyways, it just really irritates me. Ariana Grande just dropped a new record and it's all I can listen to and it's really irritating me. I love it, but I'm so ashamed of myself for it. So if people know I listen to Ariana Grande, what are they going to think of me? Are they going to think I'm a brat
Yeah.
and that I'm a potty mouth?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the music you listen to, no, of course not. I mean, it's music, it's pop music, first of all. It's created so that it catches your attention.
I know,
and
but
you
it's... But
listen
like
to
when
it.
people listen to Katy Perry, because I personally can't stand her, I think less of them. Just, I need to get off my chest because I'm struggling with a lot of self-hatred right now
I've noticed.
because of my love of her music. So, before we finish the topic of relationships, on Valentine's Day, I asked my Instagram followers if they had any questions about us because
You did?
I posted a picture of the night we met, and I occasionally get questions from people, but I thought it would be fun to do a tiny little Q&A.
Ooh.
One person asked how we met. Well, we talked about that on our first podcast episode. The short version is we met in Orlando.
Karaoke bar.
He couldn't resist me, and
Bada bing, bada boom.
that's how we met.
8 years later. No, 9 years.
9 years.
9 years.
One person asked, what does Daniel do for work? I don't know, Daniel. Do we want to say what you do for work?
I work in publishing, quality assurance for publishing, for a very
Book
large
publishing.
company. Yeah, book publishing, so paperback
Yeah,
in particular,
for a very large company.
for the largest company in
And
the
you
world.
could maybe figure it out from there.
Yeah.
What took you from Texas to Carolina? Did you sell your Texas house?
A car took us from Texas to Carolina.
That's a good question. So I think we talked a little bit about this in our second episode about we had an ectopic pregnancy. Before that, I really was just not kind of happy where I was living, and just there was a lot of, I guess, life to be lived outside the town I'm from. So I always felt a pull to be somewhere else, and it didn't feel right to me. So I guess when something like that happens to you, your surroundings become even more apparent. So being unhappy where you are became so much more obvious to me.
Yeah, I think also it was a pretty tumultuous time. I just don't think from a stress level it was doing you any good.
Yeah. So anyways, we had Charleston kind of on our radar, and 4th of July weekend. So this was
2014.
this was a couple of weeks after we had our ectopic pregnancy, that loss, and I was like, let's just drive to Charleston.
Can I just say, I was totally against this. Like 100%, because we were going to be exhausted. We had like 3 days off, I think, 4 days off.
We had just enough time to drive there
Yeah.
and drive back.
Stay there for 2 days. And
Yeah.
then, yeah. So it was literally, had we not had the situation, the ectopic pregnancy, I think I would have pushed back more. But you were in such a crappy place. It was just like,
Yeah, I needed
just go with it.
I needed to get out of town. I'll be honest with you, I just fell in love with it immediately. It was an immediate, I could see myself staying here. Anyways, we went home. We put our house on the market. Daniel applied for a transfer with his current job at the time. He no longer works there, but he got the transfer. Our house sold, and we were here in September. So we visited in July, and we were here in September. It was just kind of, it moved pretty quickly.
Very quick.
And we love it.
Yeah, it took longer for me to settle than you.
Yeah.
But anyway, on to the next question. How did you guys decide where to live? His side of the globe or yours? I can answer that. We originally didn't have a plan. When we went back to England after we met, which was about 3 months after we met, when we arrived in England, it was going through the worst winter storms in the history of recorded records.
Yep.
So it was a very easy decision for Candace because she could not settle in England. Now that we talk about it, she thinks that she probably could under the right
Yeah.
circumstances.
I think because when we lived there, we were living in a garage flat,
It was
and
beautiful though, wasn't it? It
it
was
was
so
so
nice.
nice, but we didn't have a shower or
We had to use the main house for those things
yeah, there were times we couldn't use the main house, and so we had to walk down the street to Mum's house
and have a
and
bath.
have a bath
I
there.
hate baths.
It was just I guess, inconvenient and we didn't have a kitchen either. We had a microwave in the other room, but
We had a freezer room, remember? Because the other bedroom was so cold that
oh
we could just
yeah.
leave stuff in there.
Yes. Yes, I remember.
We called it the freezer room.
Yeah, it
Ooh.
was so cold. And we had a little heater in the room that we stayed in, though. And it was pretty cozy.
Oh, it was so cozy.
It was. It really was lovely. Like,
Yeah.
we stayed there rent free. God bless Ian.
5 months. Yeah.
Yes, it was wonderful and so thankful for it. I think that I could definitely live there if we had a place of our own.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we didn't at the time, so it
Careers
was
there.
very
Where we're
difficult.
occupied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I could definitely do it, especially at this time in my life right now. If we had kids, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really don't care. We didn't decide, to answer your question. It just
It happened.
it just happened.
Next question. You said the night you met your husband, you were singing. Are you a singer? And what were you singing?
Yes, I was singing karaoke.
Very, very well, may I add.
I was singing just karaoke. It was, it's silly, but I do like to sing, and yes, I can sing. So, anyway, that's it for the questions. Thank you for the questions. If
Keep
you
them
have
coming. I
any more
enjoyed that.
questions, feel free to. You can actually email us at thevanwades@gmail.com. This is an email I haven't given out yet. It's kind of attached to the infertility website. So, if you contact me on the website, it comes through that email. But if you don't want to go to the website and you just want to email us and reach out, ask us questions, you can reach us there.
Yeah.
So, on the last episode of the Infertility podcast, we talked about the way relationships change. We talked about friends and family and how that changes when you're going through infertility, not just infertility, but even before the infertility diagnosis. If you think about it, you don't get the infertility diagnosis until you've been trying for at least a year. So imagine, all the hype and the excitement, and then over the span of a year, I mean, that's like the worst.
Yeah.
That's the worst part of infertility is that first year when you're so hopeful and the doctors really aren't, too concerned with moving things along because they're thinking, oh, it'll happen eventually.
It's only been a year.
Yeah, so anyways, a lot of relationships change. So I did get a lot of feedback on that episode. It seems like a lot of people really did identify with that. They've been through the same things. So thank you for your feedback. In this episode, we wanted to wrap up the relationship series with the workplace relationships and also the relationships with your significant other. So first, the relationships in the workplace. How much sharing is too much? What details of trying to conceive should be shared? And it's not just a question of if you're comfortable sharing. It's like,
is the person receiving the information comfortable receiving?
Right. And who you should be sharing with. Some of the sharing may not be very appropriate.
Yeah.
So there's a variety of work settings. So you could very well get away with not telling anyone in some work settings. But for the most part, telling someone in the workplace eventually becomes a thing, right?
Yeah. It's inevitable and you can't avoid it.
And it's difficult to avoid. Most working people are with their coworkers more than they are with their family. So it makes it even harder to hide when you start building close relationships with your coworkers or when you're spending more time with them. Going through treatments, I sometimes go into work a little bit late. Like a lot of times my appointments are at 7:30, so I don't get in till like 8:30 or a couple minutes after.
Yeah.
When I'm having scans and things. So I didn't want my employer to think I was some delinquent coming in late, being off every now and then. There's probably some jobs where no one would notice
No.
if you were late
Yeah.
a lot, which tell me what that is so I can
Yeah. She
I
would
can
like to
have
do
that job. That would be fun. But some jobs, you're not really accountable to someone, or if you're the boss, that's even better. But there have been so many instances where I was on the phone with my clinic or fighting the insurance company or ordering medication or whatever, and I shared my office with one other person. If she didn't know what was going on, she would be like, what is happening with her?
Yeah.
Like, is she dying? What is going on?
Yeah. Is she selling her kidney?
Right? But if you're just trying to conceive on your own, I'd be inclined to say keep it to yourself for now.
100%.
As long as you can,
Yes.
because once you start telling people, there's just no going back from it. And I know that I can't say I regret it because you learn from it, those types of things. But when we were so excited in the beginning and telling so many people, and like, you just can't untell people. But if it helps you get support at work and telling a coworker, or at least one coworker that you're really close with, that could be beneficial. So go for it if you feel comfortable, but just be ready for people to ask questions.
Or not.
Or not.
Some people may just shy away from it.
You know what? That's true, Daniel. Like, some people might not even care. And then, that's happened to me before.
Well, I'm going to be honest. If one of my employees said to me, hey, Daniel, I'm currently going through fertility issues and we're actually doing IVF, I wouldn't ever prompt the conversation, like, to ask how they're doing. It would be literally, hey, how's it going? I wouldn't ask, like, how's the IVF going?
Yeah.
Did the old semen fertilize the egg? give us a little bit.
Well, that would be inappropriate.
Yeah, no, I crossed a line.
Yeah, that would be a little inappropriate. But if you're going through fertility treatments, I lean more towards telling your boss. Like, I'm kind of an open book when it comes to that sort of thing. If they're an understanding person, if they're a really rude person, maybe not. And then they can just think what they want about your absence from work or whatever. If they're rude anyways, I don't know what to say about that, or don't. It's totally up to you. When we first started IVF, I was a full-time student in college. I was in an accelerated summer math program. Blah. It was Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 10:20 a.m. And if you missed a class, you were like completely screwed because she flew through the material. I mean, it was a 4-week course, so I couldn't miss any class, but I did need to miss a class one day, so I had to tell her, like, hi, I have to miss a class.
Hi there, I've known you for 2 weeks.
I know, I'm having my eggs retrieved, but it was super important for me to tell her that. She was a mother of 3. She was so understanding. My last semester in college, we were actually going through our second round of IVF, and I had to tell my team leader because there were times when I had to go into the back room, give myself a shot, but he was totally uninterested. Like, when I had that conversation with him, he was visibly uncomfortable.
But don't you think that's the reaction from most men? Like, they're genuinely uncomfortable about those sorts of things.
Yes, but he's married, and his wife actually got pregnant shortly after that.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, good job. Oh.
I bet that Target discount's really helping.
I think if you're a man and you have a wife, like, just picture yourself going through that with your wife.
Yeah.
Anyways, he had no compassion, and
but he's a bit of a jerk anyway.
Yeah, he was a jerk. I mean, I felt stupid for telling him, but I kind of had to.
Yeah.
I also told my boss that I work for now. I started my current job last summer. I do research, and when I started, I was going through my 3rd round of IVF. I'm always working.
You're a pro at this.
I know. I immediately needed a day off. And there were a couple of days where I needed to come in late because I had scans in the morning. And I'm talking my first
week, wasn't it?
week,
Yeah.
first couple weeks of work, I was really worried because this job is different from jobs I've had in the past. You know, it's like my career.
It's a career move.
Getting
Hooters just wasn't paying the money anymore.
You know, getting into your field of interest after getting your degree and things like that is kind of important. So I was really concerned about how it would affect the workplace. And being professional is so important to me. So I was kind of worried if telling my boss was going to be somewhat unprofessional.
Or just tarnish you, you know, like with a bad
or
reputation.
just make her be like, oh, she's got
she's
baggage,
new.
she's broken, like
broken.
Oh, she's got all these health issues.
I swear you say, like, I don't think people call other people broken.
But anyways, I was so surprised because she was very knowledgeable about IVF and she knew exactly what the process was like.
Yep.
And she was and continues to be extremely supportive. So that is nice.
Yeah.
But you know, that's right for me personally. It may not be right for everyone. What about you? When
my boss,
I don't remember when you told your boss.
I told my boss not long after we had our first egg retrieval, and I felt like that was good to have that level of transparency. So she knew that if I was going to need to take a day off, she knew what I was doing. It wasn't just a case of taking a day off. She still continues to be a fantastic support.
Yeah.
Like, incredible. She asks questions. She knows the stuff that we're going through because it's like she researches it.
Yeah.
And she, you know, so like she'll ask me how it goes and then she'll finish my sentences when I'm talking about it. And it's like, you know, that shows someone who cares.
Really nice. And it's interesting too because like you could have probably gotten away with never telling your employer. I think for men it's different.
Yeah.
Actually, you go to all my appointments with me, so you're always at my appointments with me, but a lot of my appointments happen to be on your off days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would reckon for some men, it's probably really easy to not tell their employers.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, men probably never have to do that, except for, you know, you, because you're just open with your boss, but...
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So, you know, the workplace is a tricky one because, like with family and friends, you have to kind of gauge what your dynamic is.
Share it with the people
first.
That could potentially be impacted by it would be my advice.
Yeah.
If you don't think this person's going to need to know, don't share it with them because these things are always awkward, right? Anything to do with procreation can be awkward if you're discussing it with the wrong people. So my advice is discuss it with the people who need to know.
Yeah. So the last thing we want to talk about is the relationship with your significant other, your spouse, your partner, your husband, your wife. How do you think our relationship has changed?
I would say it's got stronger from a foundational level. I don't think there is anything that either one of us could do that would shock the other. We know each other inside out.
Has it changed the way you perceive me?
Yes. I thought you were a complete wussy when I met you. No, you're just, you're very strong. Immensely strong. I could not go through the things that you've gone through. Just couldn't. And I wouldn't. You know, obviously it would be a different end goal, but I wouldn't go through the injections. I wouldn't go through the blood work. I wouldn't go through someone violating you with a robot lollipop. I wouldn't go through those things. I couldn't go through it. I'm not strong enough to do it. You, on the other hand, have done it and done it with a smile on your face. And so you're far stronger than me. I could not do that. So yes, it's definitely shown me that women as a gender, as a sex, whatever you want to call it, are far, far stronger than men.
Yeah, spoken like a real man, too.
Yeah. What about you?
I think you've grown a lot.
I have put on weight.
No, I'm not talking about me. You've definitely grown in that when we first got married, you know, the happy wife, happy life motto that most men adhere to, Daniel did not.
I think every man struggles with that.
No, I don't think so.
They do.
But Daniel was not of that mindset. Let me just put it that way. He definitely makes me happy, but he doesn't fold very easily, and he doesn't do whatever I want to do just to please me. And I do like that because I'm not a very high maintenance person. I don't need a lot to be happy.
No. Highly strung, but
Highly
not high
strung.
maintenance. Yeah.
That's true. But I think over the past couple years at least, when we've been going through our fertility treatments, you've been very, I would say, supportive in it doesn't matter what my mood is, and it doesn't matter why, and it doesn't matter that you don't understand. You just kind of let me be, and that's exactly what I've needed is space and understanding.
Yeah, it's definitely been a roller coaster
Yeah.
of emotion, stress, happiness, hope, and they're just the things that you've gone through. I think it's, in terms of how our relationship has changed, we are adults now. When we first met, we were kids, right? And
seems that way now, doesn't it, looking back?
Now we've still got that hope. We've had our bouts of skepticism where we just didn't think, cynically thinking that it was never going to happen. But I think we're on the... Yeah, and I've always been think positive. But I think, honestly, we are on the home stretch now. I really do think that.
Feels like we've kind of turned a corner for sure in our infertility journey. So, but relationships with your partner is a really delicate thing because you're experiencing these things together, but in different ways. So the perspectives differ. But hopefully you and your partner have a solid foundation of which to go on. And there are just some things to keep in mind when you're trying to conceive. One thing is like you have to be 100% on board, both of you.
100%.
Like, I've seen some really sad things. When I first started my account, like 2 years ago, there was a girl who they went to their WTF appointment right after their transfer failed, and her husband or partner, I think maybe they were just, they weren't married, but he dumped her in the parking lot after, in the parking lot of the clinic.
Yeah.
And said he didn't want to do this anymore.
Well, they weren't even married, were they? I think
no,
they were
I don't think they were married.
Were they just girlfriend and boyfriend?
Yeah, they were doing IVF, but it was so sad, and I don't know who that was. Like, if you're listening and that was you, I don't know. I don't remember now. I don't remember her name. I don't remember her handle, but oh my gosh, if I can't imagine going through that, all of that for nothing.
Yeah.
Just the heartbreak.
Just to add on to that, people say that renovations of houses really test relationships, right?
Been there, done it.
We've done that. We have done infertility and treatment. If you can't get through a renovation, don't even think about doing infertility. It is 10 times as hard.
It's so hard.
Yeah, those two things do not even compare.
Luckily, we weren't doing those things at the same time.
Goodness.
We had finished our renovation. Funny thing is, we actually sold that house so that we could pay for IVF. So it comes full circle.
Yeah.
But seriously, if you're that girl and you're listening somehow, or if you know that girl, please write me. I hope something good has happened to you, and I hope your life is good.
We'd like to get you on the podcast as well.
But, that would be cool. But I think, being on the same page is not always, you can't always be on the same page about everything, but this thing you kind of need to be on the same page about. Yes. And I think by nature, women are the ones who approach the husband and say, look, I want to start trying to have a baby. And then the husband's like, okay. The only time I've ever seen the man instigate it is on Southern Charm. Remember when Cameron was like, oh, he wants kids and I don't really want kids. And then she gets off birth control and gets pregnant right away. Just screw her.
He wants a baby, so I guess I'm going to have to go and do it.
Yeah, she didn't even want a baby. And then she threw her pills away and she gets pregnant right away.
Well, I guess I'm knocked up. I can't drink my sangria anymore. I don't know. It sounds like something she'd say. I know,
But Daniel and I have always been on the same page about IVF.
Yeah, I agree.
I think I wanted to have babies sooner in our marriage, like before we got married,
Yeah.
but that would have been really tacky.
Yeah.
But it's good that we didn't do it that way. Obviously, we wouldn't have gotten pregnant, but it's not possible to be on two different wavelengths.
Don't put yourself through that.
The other thing I think that's super important, and this is not a new concept to a marriage, is communication.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's even more essential when you're going through this because men can't understand what's going on in a woman's body. They can try, and they definitely should try, but they really don't know
No.
what you're feeling. I mean, the weight fluctuating, you may feel insecure at times. I know for me, I always feel insecure about what's become of my body. You may just be feeling emotional, fine the next day, and then emotional again, and
Yeah.
it's just hormones. But men being clueless is also not a new concept in a marriage. When you're going
It's
through
true.
trying to conceive, the moods are harder to track, and then they may not understand why you're tired all the time, etc. So the topic of interest clearly becomes babies and nothing else is important. And I know
It takes over.
right, and I know that sometimes you ask me, "You all right?" And I'm like, no, I'm not all right. I can't have babies."
Yeah. Which is a really wild response.
Right. But seriously, that's all that's on our minds. And so that's driving everything pretty much. And, men are not mind readers, regardless of the movie What Women Want. That's total trash.
Mel Gibson.
I know.
Get
Mel
out of
Gibson.
here, Mel.
Men are not mind readers, and they never have been, and they never will be. And communication is huge. And I've already talked about how, like, Daniel does not pick up on social cues. He sure as heck does not pick up on them when it comes to me.
It's true.
That's just who he is, and he could do better at it, but, I could also do better at communicating with him about what I'm feeling at the moment.
Did people say that? At the moment?
I just did.
It sounds really cool.
Thanks.
You should do that more often.
We'll start a trend. But I shouldn't expect that he knows exactly how my day went.
Yeah.
So when he walks in the door after coming home from work and he sees me in a neutral light, unless I'm throwing a shoe at him or something.
You've never actually thrown a shoe at me, thankfully.
No, but when you walk in the door, you haven't, like, absorbed my energy or my mood, right, just yet. Like, to me, I feel like I wear my heart on my sleeve. And I feel that when I'm at home, I feel I'm doing a pretty good job of accurately exuding my mood. My mood?
Mood.
When I'm at home, I am who I am. Like, It all hangs out and it all just comes out. So
someone put a shirt on that girl. It's all hanging out.
all that to say with, is in dealing with infertility, you should just be really even more communicative of your feelings than normal. I think that I've done a better job as time goes on, or as time has progressed, of telling you, I'm not having a good day, so don't ask me what's wrong.
Yeah.
And that's fine to do, by the way.
I'm more than happy with that, rather than silence.
Going into trying to conceive, tell your husband the types of feelings that you're having, physically, emotionally, mentally, and make it clear so that he can provide you with the space or the hugs or whatever it is that, could support you. Communication is so key. I'm curious to know what has changed for the better or for the worse in other people's relationships with their partners. So
I'd like some questions as well, like people to ask questions about that and advice. And
I hope that, like, I've gotten some feedback recently about people listening to our podcast with their husband, and that makes me so happy because that's kind of what we wanted with this podcast, just to have you guys hearing both of our perspectives.
Don't make our mistakes.
Right. Hopefully the things that we've been through and the hell that we've been through, you guys can be like, oh wow, our life is not that bad. Like, they make us feel so much better about our life. But thank you guys for your support.
Yes, thank you.
It means a lot to us. So we'll wrap this up.
Next time on the Infertility Podcast,
endometriosis. My special guest and I will discuss what it is and our experience with it.
Thanks for listening. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Candace.
Bye-bye. Night.
Bye. Night.
Bye.
Bye.